Right. The MP who said, I will resign. Chiredzi Central's ropafadzo makumire goes nuclear on CAB3. Fuel cartels and the missing cancer man. Tiripo pamuzinda wevanhu pano kubva kuvanhu by public demand. Makumire, I think at this stage, vazhinji venyu ropafadzo. Blessing Makumire. I think at this stage, vazhinji venyu makumuziva, you follow him pama social media, pa Facebook, etc. This guy is loud in parliament, whether in my streets, whether pambare, in parliament. So let's talk about what's happening right now, Maurice Babu. Let's talk about what's happening right now. Right. Makumire White interview on a Citizens Voice Network YouTube channel on their program, you know, Big Talk. Waburisa mabomba. Ende stano collecta mabomba chet. Ndo watawa na opana ut muzvinzvire muti what's happening at this stage. Right. MP, the MP from Masvingo province, sat down for a YouTube interview this week and said something so radical, so unheard of, so thoroughly unprecedented in Zimbabwean political history that people had to replay the video to make sure they heard correctly. Right, Maurice Babu, he said, when my time lapses in 2028, I will resign. I will go home. Right, this is a Zimbabwean politician voluntarily offering to leave office. Mure Zimbabwe, I need a moment. Meet Honorable Ropafadzo Makumire, a Triple C member of parliament for Chiredzi Central in Masvingo province. Elected in 2023, urban designer, town planner, Mandela Washington Fellow, and winner of Zimbabwe's 2025 Best Member of Parliament Award. At least ZANU-PF, Mzereva members say ZANU-PF bakapa munhu we C an award for being best member. He is 32 years old. He has a master's degree in urban design. He sits on parliamentary committees for local government, youth and mines. And this week, he walked onto the Citizens Voice Network's flagship YouTube program, The Big Talk, and delivered the most honest, most detailed, most damaging interview of the entire CAB3 crisis. Right? No teleprompter, no spin doctor, no government press release to hide behind, just a camera, a microphone, and a young MP from Chiredzi who decided Zimbabwe deserved the unfiltered truth. Right? We have the full breakdown. Let's go. Right? Let us start with the moment, because it was genuinely extraordinary. The host on the Big Talk asked Makumire a simple question. If ZANU-PF uses its engineered parliamentary supermajority to pass CAB3 and automatically extend your term from 5 years to 7, moving the next election from 2028 to 2030, what will you do? Right. Most politicians would have given a speech, talked about continued resistance, promised ongoing advocacy, used the 17 words where two would do, and committed to absolutely nothing specific. Makumire looked at the camera and said, when my time lapses in 2028, I will resign. I will go home. I want to respect the contract that I have with the people of Chiredzi Central. Done, clean, precise, no asterisks. Now, let us understand why this is not just a nice quote. It is a constitutional statement with real implications. In the 2023 election, Makumire won Chiredzi Central with 12,342 votes against ZANU-PF's 7,832. Those 12,342 people gave him a 5-year mandate, not 7 years, 5. And on Citizens Voice Network, in front of a YouTube audience, he said publicly that contract is sacred. If ZANU-PF tries to extend it without asking the voters, he is out. A Zimbabwean MP choosing principle over parliament, choosing Chiredzi Central over his own salary. In a political environment where CAB3 is essentially a conspiracy to keep everyone in their seats 2 years longer without asking the public, one MP sat down for an interview and said, not in my name. Right, for context, Makumire has been described as an influential voice in the National Assembly, consistently advocating for critical issues such as reducing VAT, and improving salary structures for civil servants. This is not a man performing integrity for a camera. This is a man whose entire parliamentary track record is consistent with exactly what he said on that interview. And that resignation pledge should embarrass every other opposition MP who is quietly hoping CAB3 passes so they can stay in office 2 extra years without campaigning. Right. Now, here is where Makumire, sitting in that interview chair on Citizens Voice Network, delivered something that no political analyst has said more clearly on a public platform. He explained with the calm precision of a man who has clearly thought this through completely exactly why ZANU-PF wants to replace the direct popular presidential election with the parliamentary electoral college system. The logic is devastatingly simple. It is significantly cheaper and easier to bribe a few hundred MPs in a closed room than to influence 16 million voters in a national election. Mari inoshandiswa wakomana vachikambena paya vachitenga mabhasikoro track rose rakazara mabhasikoro zvamwe muchiona zhazha achienda neupfu achiita sei vachitenga all of that money kana vakaishare pamamembers 360 eparliament, it will be more easier, it will be more cheaper. So mkomana, that is it. That is the entire plan, stripped of all constitutional language, all policy framing, all Vision 2030 packaging. CAB3 is a cost reduction exercise for political capture. Why spend billions trying to win an election, a national election, when you can control a parliamentary caucus with a fraction of the budget? You do not need rallies. You do not need campaign buses. You do not need to win Matebeleland or Manikaland or Mashingo. You just need to own enough MPs in one room. This is why the bill, CAB3, explicitly replaces direct popular election with election by members of parliament sitting jointly. Once that change is made, presidential succession becomes an internal ZANU-PF procurement exercise. The winner is whoever the party machine, the patronage networks, and the financial power brokers decide to install. Makumire called it on the Big Talk what it is: a narrow, selfish agenda engineered by a tiny political elite. He said extending the terms essentially extends poverty, extends inequality, and extends state-sanctioned looting, extends looting. A sitting MP on a YouTube channel saying that about his own government's flagship legislation. Frame it. Put it on a wall somewhere. Right. Now, here is where the interview moved from constitutional drama to kitchen table economics and hit every Zimbabwean driver, every comp operator, every small business owner directly in the wallet. The host asked Makumire what every Zimbabwean at a fuel station has been asking for years. Why is fuel so catastrophically expensive here compared to our neighbors? Zambia is landlocked. Tanzania is landlocked. They buy on the same international market, and yet Zimbabweans pay dramatically more at the pump. Makumire's answer on the Big Talk was not about international oil prices. It was not about the exchange rate. It was one word: cartels. Zimbabwe's exceptional fuel costs are the direct result of a system run by highly connected cartels, specifically those controlling the Feruka fuel pipeline, who regulate supply and collude on pricing with absolute impunity because they are deeply embedded within the ruling elite. The Feruka pipeline, running from Beira, Mozambique into Mtare and across Zimbabwe, the critical infrastructure that controls fuel supply to a landlocked nation. And according to Makumire, who draws on his experience sitting on parliamentary committees covering this exact sector, that pipeline is essentially being run as a private cartel operation, with supply and pricing controlled to protect the profit margins of a politically connected few. His solution, delivered clearly on camera: immediate liberalization, multiple players, open market competition, break the monopoly and watch the prices fall. This is not radical economic theory. It is first-year economics applied to a system deliberately kept closed to protect cartel profits. The question Mure Zimbabwe must ask after watching that interview is not whether Makumire is right. Every Zimbabwean must ask. The question is, it is why nobody with the power to fix has fixed it. And whose name keeps appearing every time someone investigates who controls the Feruka network. We will leave that as an exercise for the viewer. I don't control a fuel mafia. Right. Hold on to something, because this next section is genuinely deep, infuriating. The $30 million sugar tax and the two machines that showed up. Right, in the Citizens Voice Network interview, Makumire revealed that the government collected over $30 million through the sugar tax in 2024. Money that was specifically, publicly, explicitly earmarked to produce cancer treatment machines for Zimbabwe's public hospitals. After more than 2 years, 2 machines have arrived. 2 machines. And this is not even new information Makumire stumbled upon. No. He raised this exact issue publicly after Mnangagwa's State of the Nation address in October 2025, saying, "We were expecting him to address the nation on progress made in the procurement of cancer machines. We are almost closing the second year since the sugar tax was introduced, and to date, nothing has been done. People are struggling." He raised it in October 2025. It is now May 2026, and he is still raising it. This time on a YouTube interview, because nobody in the Ministry of Health has given a satisfactory answer about where the remaining $28 million plus went. In a country where cancer patients are dying because they cannot access radiotherapy equipment, where, as Makumire described vividly on camera, women are giving birth on hospital floors, wards have unwashed beds with no blankets, there is no running water, and mothers are forced to pay out of pocket for their own basic obstetric scans. $30 million collected, 2 machines delivered, no accountability, no minister dragged before anyone to explain the gap. This is not abstract corruption. This is a Zimbabwean mother giving birth on a floor while $30 million earmarked for her healthcare disappears into an account that nobody in government wants to name on camera. And then do paya pamunoona kana vanhu vatengwa mota pa Maria West waitwa sei vanhu vocomplaina kwenzi hai jealous. The treasury chokehold, who gets funded and who gets nothing. And in that same interview, Makumire pulled back the curtain on the mechanism that makes all of this possible, the systematic strangulation of critical ministries while specific sectors are quietly, consistently over-resourced. Drawing on his experience sitting on parliamentary committees for local government, youth and mines, Makumire revealed that most critical ministries are receiving less than 25% of their formally allocated annual budgets from the Treasury. The Registrar General's Office, responsible for printing national ID cards and birth certificates, the basic documents every Zimbabwean needs to exist legally in their own country, has been left without basic stationery. Meanwhile, specific security and executive sectors of the government are constantly overfunded, receiving far more resources than their original budget allocations. Let that structure sink in. Parliament allocates a budget. Treasury disbursement then decides what actually arrives. In the pattern, consistent, documented, sitting in committee records that Makumire has access to, is that institutions of control get more than they asked for, while institutions of service get a fraction of what they need. This is not an accident. This is a governance philosophy. A government that wants to control its population funds the tools of control generously and starves the tools of service. Hospitals that cannot function keep citizens desperate. Schools that cannot teach keep communities disorganized. A registrar general that cannot print ID cards keeps voters off the electoral roll. Every broken hospital, every unprinted birth certificate, every cancer patient who cannot access the machine that should have been bought with their sugar tax. It is all connected to the same deliberate budget architecture. And Makumire explained exactly how it works on camera on Citizen's Voice Network for anyone willing to spend an hour watching the big talk. The bottom line. Honorable Ropafadzo Blessing Makumire won the 2025 Best Member of Parliament Award, an honor determined through public online voting where Zimbabweans choose who they believed was actually doing the job. This is a 32-year-old from Chiredzi who went to Chovani Primary School, who studied urban planning at UZ and NAST, who became a Mandela Washington Fellow, who became the youngest elected councillor in Chiredzi's history, winning as an independent in the 2018 ward elections before joining CCC at its inception, who won his parliamentary seat convincingly in 2023, who sits on 3 parliamentary committees, who raised the cancer machine scandal in October 2025 and he has never stopped raising it, and who sat down on a YouTube channel this week, not in a press conference, not in a committee hearing, not in a carefully managed government event, and told Zimbabwe what he knows, what he has seen, and what he will do when 2028 comes. He is not powerful. He does not have gold bars on a private jet. He does not control a fuel pipeline. He does not have a cartel protecting his interests. He has 12,000 constituents in Chiredzi Central who trusted him. And he has chosen publicly on camera for the whole internet to see, to honor that trust even when it cost him 2 extra years of parliamentary salary and privilege. Zimbabwe is watching its constitution be fought over in the Constitutional Court. It is watching a president whose location requires aviation tracking apps to confirm. It is watching gold allegations, cartel exposes, $30 million sugar taxes with 2 machines to show for it, and a government that funds its security apparatus generously while its hospitals run out of blankets. And in the middle of all of it, a 32-year-old MP from Chiredzi Central sat down for an interview on Citizen's Voice Network and said, "My contract is with the people, not the party, not the cartel, not the bill, the people." That is what accountability looks like, and Zimbabwe deserves to see it far more often than it does. Go watch the full Big Talk interview on Citizen's Voice Network, share it everywhere, because the conversations happening on YouTube are doing the work that the state media refuses to do. Pano pamzinda wevanhu, we salute it when it appears. Subscribe pamzinda wevanhu, Zimbabwe's most fearless and most entertaining political voice. Do you believe Makumire will actually resign in 2028 if CAB3 passes? Should more MPs take this same pledge publicly? Drop your sharpest take in the comments. Smash the like button, share this everywhere, and support independent journalism through join and super thanks. Zimbabwe deserves politicians who keep their word and journalists who hold them to it. Peace.